Yeah.
Bradley and
Bradley.
Joe, why don't y'all tell me about Runeterra? I
Legends of
haven't
Runeterra.
I haven't even really seen gameplay of this.
Joe will be playing the role of Crotch the Old Man tonight.
And I'll be playing the role of... It's alright.
I'll be playing the role of I come in afterwards and talk about Teppen for 5 minutes, so I'll wait my turn.
Yeah. Joe and I
And Tyler,
have different
but
levels of experience with card games. Joe has probably played a lot more digital card games.
I've probably played every card game under the sun.
Sorry about that. My internet just doesn't like working on my
Why
laptop
would you say
here.
sorry? You're just gonna edit everything together. We could just immediately start it and they wouldn't even know.
No, because your sentence wouldn't have lined up like that. What do you think this is?
What do you mean? What do you think this is? You just discard the first part entirely, and then we just start over.
Well, I guess we weren't that deep in. Well, it's too late now. We're
Me and
talking.
Joe started talking about Pib, and I guess it was too powerful for Willow's computer to handle.
Joe was talking about how he's played every card game under the sun.
Yeah. So, anyways, I'll be playing the role of Cross the Old Man that drinks Pib.
That's. I'm not cutting it out. We already know what role you're playing.
I'm trying to get sponsored by Pib.
Yeah. So yeah, Let's Runeterra. Bradley's only played like Hearthstone.
Yeah, pretty much.
I've played like Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, Hearthstone. I played not Runeterra.
Artifact.
I played Artifact. I'll get into Artifact for a minute because it has very small similarities to Artifact. And why I don't like Artifact either. I say a lot. It has one similarity. But some other card games as well that I've probably forgotten. But I know I've played a lot of card games. But yeah. So Bradley, I'm gonna have you take over now because I think you're a lot more invested in this game than I am.
Yeah, I was even playing the shit out of it earlier today.
Hey.
That being said, there's a lot of things I really like about the game, and there are some things about the game that are just absolutely terrible from a user experience point of view. I think I might start with what I don't like and then move on to the stuff that I really love, because there are things I really love. So I know that Joe and I have talked about this, and I think this is something that a lot of people really don't like. And this is sort of tied in with a mechanic I do like. So Legends of Runeterra is the League of Legends card game, digital card game, and it contains a lot of the champions that you would know from League of Legends. And a really cool thing is that the cards for the champions, whenever you fulfill certain criteria during battle, they can level up and they gain new stats and abilities, and that's really cool. I think that's a really cool mechanic.
I think it's a really cool mechanic as well.
The thing that sucks about it is the way that the criteria for leveling them up is written on the card.
You told me about this. It was baffling.
Yeah, it's very ambiguous. There's no way to really know what satisfies that condition. Some of them are really straightforward. Like, for example, Garen's level up condition is like, oh, if I've been hit twice and I'm still alive, I level up.
So how do they word that? Just to get some context here.
Say, so like Garrett's would say, it will say level up when I have struck twice.
Yeah.
These, it says when I had 3 or more spiralings at the start of the round.
When I have struck twice, or I have been struck twice?
No, when I have struck twice.
Oh, so when he attacks twice, it activates.
But then, like, that works for some of them, but then there's things like Zed that are like, when me and my shadow have struck the Nexus twice, which in my brain makes me think you have to strike the Nexus twice with both of them.
Yeah, that is how that. There's also like, I just picture shit like when the moon in the pale night covers the clouds, I get +1 attack.
Yeah.
The thing that really confused me is the difference between champions like Teemo or Ezreal and Lux. And here's the thing that's really confusing about it. Teemo and Ezreal can level up even if you have not drawn them yet. Because, like, I think Ezreal's is you have to have targeted 8 different enemies this game. And so if you've targeted 8 different enemies, he will level up even if you have not drawn him yet, even if he's still in your deck.
It's the kind of effect where it's like cumulative versus like after I've been played or drawn kind of thing.
Yeah. Here's the reason that's confusing to me, is because Lux's level up condition is I level up when I've seen you play 6 mana worth of spells. So she's not going to level up if she's still in your deck, but I'm like, okay, maybe that makes sense, because if she's in your deck, she can't see you cast the mana, right?
Right.
So I'm like, oh, if I have her in my hand, she can see, right? No, it doesn't count if she's in your hand. You have to actually play her onto the board.
Ugh.
And it's like, how am I supposed to know that unless I've done it before?
Okay, so say they fix up the text or add additional text to clarify this. Is this a good card game?
I think I think it's fun. It has some really clear problems, and it could be a really good card game up until it is not a good card game, which is what happens to most card games.
Yeah. So like that thing about that, Willer, to me, is that's more of a that bothers me in the sense of like a seasoned card gamer, where like I want the card to refer to things in game terms on the card. I don't want to refer to itself in the first person, because that confuses me. When I just want something to say like when I just want to say like when this card or its copy strikes Nexus twice, and or its copy strikes Nexus twice, pull this card up. Like I need it to be like clearly defined.
Yeah.
It'd be great if there was an option to like switch that over, because I don't like the cutesy text about all of that.
Well, Teppen fun fact number 1, they have the description of the card, and then they also have the flavor text all in one UI window, so you can get your flavor text and you can get your description very clearly spelled out.
Yeah, that's what most card games are like.
Now, Joe, outside of that, do you think this is a fun game? Is it structured? Is there a good meta right now? What's going on?
I haven't looked at the meta really, but for me playing it, the big thing for me is, so the number one thing for me is that I really right now, the only deck that I see that is very unique in the way it plays is the Teemo deck, and it's a deck where you basically plant bombs in the opponent's deck so that when they draw them, they get damage over time. So it's kind of like it's their version of a mill deck without having to print mill cards, because being milled feels bad, because essentially, I don't know, do y'all know what being milled means?
Yeah, I know, but you should explain. This sounds like I don't know. I do for real know, but you should explain it just in case people don't
Milling
know.
basically means that you play a mill deck is basically a deck that aims to force you to discard cards and discards from your deck.
It tries to win by card out.
Yeah, basically, and it does 2 things. Number 1, it makes it so that you lose by running out cards. Number 2, because you're giving so many of your cards, you basically can get to a state where your deck is now useless and like you can't use it anymore because you discard your combo piece, or you've just run out of steam, or
all that to be said, this tactic does not exist in Runeterra.
It doesn't right now. I don't know if there's a maximum card size or hand size. Do you know, Bradley?
If there is, I haven't gotten to it. Because like in Hearthstone, it was pretty easy for me to get to max hand size, but here, no matter how crowded I think it is, I can still draw more.
Yeah. So one of the big key differences in Runeterra and other card games is that essentially you don't have a turn. There is a round, and someone has the attacking priority or not. Basically one person gets to say they want to attack at any point during the turn when it's passed back to them. You go back and forth playing cards. So on a turn that you would play a card, you can choose to attack. Your minions.
So you can infinitely keep a turn going until one of you declares an attack.
Right.
Pretty much, you can keep going until either both players have passed or
you've run out.
Literally, both players cannot do anything.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That is a structural thing that I guess a thing that was weird to me is that this game seemed really vanilla from what I understood. It seems like Magic, and it doesn't have the Hearthstone leaders. It's just pure cards, but then you have special cards which are the champions.
So that's yeah. So the way so when you make a card game, everything has a card structure. Yu-Gi-Oh! I think has the least like card structure to it because it's like you just have to have 40 cards in your deck or more.
Yeah.
But what Yu-Gi-Oh! Limited is that a lot of cards refer to other cards you have to use them. It basically limits your card pool anyways. It's kind of like the way it's designed. Magic has its color system. Hearthstone has its classes. This game, basically, you have two different regions combined together, which is okay. I just feel like these regions are very boring. I feel like
what's like the archetype of each region? Is there one, or is it just like each region can play a couple of archetypes and yada yada?
The Fallen Isles that deals more with like ghost stuff and like killing your own minions to resurrect them, that kind of thing. Black, basically. Demacia is more defensive orientated and
green.
Big minions kind of, but not really. The one with Darius, I don't remember what its name is, Bradley.
It's red.
Is that Ionia, I think?
It might be Ionia.
If Darius is in it, it's probably the red archetype.
Yeah,
it's red.
That one's more aggressive and like it has like better like kill spells in it. And then there's the Teemo one, which is just fuckery.
Blue
so, like,
purple.
There's things in there. It's just every card in there is just extremely basic.
Yeah, maybe it's an early game. Like, let's see what it's like 2 expansions from now.
Yeah, but it's 100. It's so like it has 162 cards right now. Hearthstone.
Is that low for an opening? No, I mean, no, that's fine.
Not for a digital card game like this. Like Hearthstone usually gets around like cards go. But like, there's nothing really interesting. Like the only interesting cards I feel in the game are the champion cards. And here's the second thing that's brought about the champion cards is that the champion cards are still cards. So like when they die, they're gone.
That's weird to me. I felt like, I don't know.
So like, okay, so I'm going to go into Artifact a little bit because funny enough, this Artifact has the same exact deal where you go back and forth on your turns. Like you play do a thing and then you give it to someone else and so on and so forth. With some differences being that at the very end, everyone attacks and there's a random like arrow thing that points who you attack. It was a whole clusterfuck, but it keeps the back and forth thing. One thing that Artifact really did that I really liked is that the hero cards that you chose, when they die, they get shuffled back into your deck.
That's cool.
So that way they come back. Which reflects, like in MOBAs, when your heroes die, they're not gone forever, they get resurrected later. And I feel like that's a big thing in this game that I really wish it did, because like you build a deck around these characters, and they're the most interesting cards in the deck, but I feel like 95% of them just die way too quickly, and they're not worth having in the deck. Like, I don't think, like, very rarely do I play a card or a champion card and it's like, okay, now it's going to stay there, and it's going to help me, like, propel myself to win. Like, I'll play Elise, and Elise just dies immediately, because Elise is super weak, and, like, the keyword on her is super misused, and it's not properly done, and I have my problems with
your old man's coming out. Get back in the
because like she's like the only one after like Teemo that has an interesting card gimmick and how to build around your deck, I feel. While the other cards are very generic. The other one being Hecarim, that does with like these monsters that disappear after they attack or if they move around. And it's just I don't know, like everyone else just seems very basic. It's online, like people complain about Brown because it's so powerful. It's like, oh, we can make the minions attack into him and they can level up super easy. I'm like, no, you just have to actually account for him and know what he's gonna do. He's super easy to play around. Just get used to a card game. But like,
can I interject?
Yeah.
And go on my Teppen rant or spiel.
The best card game.
Teppen is the best card. So.
Done.
Wait,
Yeah,
Joe, do you have more crotchety old man?
I do.
You had one more point, I think.
Yeah. Game's boring. Oh no. The other thing is, I don't like the going back and forth aspect in this game. It feels like it takes forever.
And it feels kind of unintuitive to me. It took me a really long time to actually figure out the flow, even with the tutorials. But maybe I'm dumb.
You pick up on stuff very quickly because you just watch like tutorial videos and you're like, I know the meta. Yeah. Like that's the kind of guy Bradley is.
But like I played a game and I feel like I'm sitting there and I'm just waiting forever. Like I feel like I don't know if it's just because people on the other side don't know what they're doing, if it's a lag thing or whatever. It's just like it feels bad to play because I can see a combo in my hand. It's like, oh, I can do this, 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 but I have to wait 3 card plays from the other person for me to do it. It just feels bad because you're sitting there like, all right, I have to play this.
All right, that's enough. Teppin time. I'm getting... No, yeah, that seems very frustrating.
It is because it's like, I once again, like, and that goes back to my big things that right now the turns just resolve around that one attack cycle that happens in each phase. I have yet to play a game where it's not a bad idea to attack. Like most times, you should just attack because either you're gonna hit something, kill something, or you
get advantage.
Yeah, it's just it all revolves around that, which is okay. But there's so much more you can do with the card game that makes it more interesting than just forcing your minions to attack. And that's the other thing: you don't control where your minions attack. You just go forward. And like it's like that in Magic, but in Magic, there's a whole other like sequence of events that can happen during the phase.
Okay.
Yeah.
Teppin, right?
You're talking about Teppin.
So this is a card game. This is my digital card game. I made it.
Yeah.
It came up once in this podcast during Game of the Year where Joe slighted me.
Oh yeah.
Because he didn't download Teppin on his iPad and he regrets it.
It's on my iPad now.
It is now. Teppin is a digital card game based on Capcom franchises, which automatically makes them cooler than frickin' Teemo or whatever. What is even Artifact? Who's man's?
League of Legends? It's all League of Legends people.
No, Artifact.
Oh, Artifact? Artifact's Dota.
Ugh. League characters are cooler looking than Dota. So Probably. I won't say if it's a better game. I think so, but... Anyways, so what Teppin does, and hearing that out just makes me refreshed at how different Teppin is. There's 2 things in Teppin that are really great. 3 compared to everything you guys have been talking about. Maybe even 4 if I dare. But one of them is that there are no turns. You play your cards, and they have a standard speed at which a line will go from card to card, and that's when they inflict damage.
See, counterpoint, that's kind of one of the things why I don't like Teppins, because I like the card games being a tactical turn-based thing that you can think about during your turns, but go on.
There is that phase to it. I'll get to it in a second.
But still timed.
Yes. Secondly, but it makes the games quick, and you don't have this waiting for a turn to end, Joe.
No, I agree on that. I'm just saying that.
A second thing I really, really like is that there are only 3 monster lanes at any given time. You cannot have more than 3 attacking units on the field. It's structured so that you can get a board advantage, you can clear out your opponent's board, and you will have 3 monsters attacking consistently. But this is such a big deal because I think it's so boring to run into the decks in card games, in Yu-Gi-Oh! Or especially in Hearthstone, man, where just in a turn they have 7 units lined up, and you have to make your comeback with your 2. Somehow they balanced it to where with those 3 boards you can have all of the strategy you need, and I think it really benefits from it.
I think that A, I'm going to have to repaint some of this shit because I fucked up, and B, I think, and counterpoint to that is that I like those phases because if you plan for them correctly, you can utterly shut down an opponent in one turn, and that feels good to me.
There are the equivalents of that in Teppin, like the people.
I should also phrase that I think Teppin is actually a good game. Like I think it's a good card game for those on the phone. I just don't enjoy having to like constantly have to think about where to throw my cards up.
It's like 2 minutes, baby. It's like 2 minutes
right.
of thinking.
A card game should last, but to me, a card game lasts usually like 5 to 6 minutes. There's still a lot of time. It's just, but to me, I don't like having that pressure of making a tactical choice within that time frame.
So let's talk about the tactical period in Teppen. When you play a spell card, once you play a spell card, your opponent gets 2 free mana. Mana is refilled just over time. It's called MP, and you just play and whatever. When you play a spell card, your opponent gets 2 free mana to their pool to start countering you, and then you go back and forth in a turn system until it's your turn and you don't play anything. You just let the effects play out, and then they play out in the order that you play them in reverse. So you get these cool scenarios where it's like, okay, I'm going to buff this card. Psych, I'm going to destroy that card with an attack. Psych, I'm going to put a shield on it. Well, double Psych, I'm just going to straight up destroy the card, which goes through shields. So you get these really cool counterplays, and they can be timing based, which is fun. Another cool thing.
That's every card game, though. It's
true.
Just a lot more.
It's very up in front in Teppen. I feel like from like the first day you're playing.
Oh yeah,
you will come into the scenarios where you're doing these split-second saves.
That is one thing about Teppen, and now we're on the Teppen cast. But like when you do that, it does feel like a DBZ moment where like you're throwing fists and blocking fists at the same time, kind of deal.
It's when they're clashing in the sky and they're just like sound waves. That's Teppen.
Which is really cool. Like it really does feel like that. It's just a personal preference for me.
Joe, you also haven't like played many structure decks in Tep. You were there pretty early, so you don't know what it's like these days. You don't know the struggle, man. So champions in Runeterra, they just seem like basic cards, and if you lose them, they're lost.
Yeah.
Your champion in Teppen is like a Hearthstone champion where they have an ability. Mm-hmm. What's really important about this is each character has 3 different abilities, and you choose one per deck. So, for example, Ryu, the most basic character, he can, 1, do 7 damage to a single unit targeted. He can, 2, power up damaging effects in your hand or in your field by +2 more damage. Or 3, he increases the attack and adds the combo modifier to a unit, which means when it attacks twice. 3 pretty basic abilities, but it means Ryu, once you see one, that you have to check out their super because it can completely alter the kind of deck that Ryu might play. Ryu is also attributed to red cards, so he can only play red, but you can color mix in this game, where if you want to play red and black, all that happens is your mana pool is reduced to half, so you can't play above 5 MP monsters.
That's cool.
And if you go for 3 colors in these really big brain decks, you only have 3 mana to work with. But there have been some really good decks made with 3 and 4 colors and such. And each card you play has a mana cost. And depending what that mana cost is, it charges up your AP, which is what you do to do your supers, by that amount. So if you play a 5 mana cost, you get 5 back. So it just all works really well, and the meta's grown really fun with each character that releases. So first we got Jill, that came out with Explore cards. So when you play an Explore card or it triggers its effect, you get to add a specific card to your EX slots, which you only have 2 of. So you also can't do the Yu-Gi-Oh thing where you just draw like 5 cards in one turn. At most, you can have 2 of those special cards, and you have to start using them to get those slots back. Then you get Nero, which came with a growth mechanic, which is you play a monster, and then other monsters you play on to the side of it, depending on their cost, it will trigger an effect. Cool. And like these monsters have levels, so like there's a Nero card that at the level 1 level up, it gets a shield. At level 2, it gets more health. At level 3, it gets an attack, depending on what you play. So that's like a basic example. And most recently, you get Akuma, which Akuma lets you play cards on top of other cards, which if you do that, that card gets a bonus. Yeah, so it's like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sacrifice mechanic where I'll play this weaker card, and leave it on the board until I have enough to play a stronger card, and if I play it on top of the weaker card, it actually gets a bonus.
Yeah.
And there's just all sorts of effects and cool decks out there. Even though right now Chun-Li is a menace, but people are learning how to put up with her because she has a move called Yawn, where if a monster dies, you get 4 MP back. So you get with Ascension, which automatically kills your own monster. You yawn a monster, you kill it by playing a monster on top of it. You get a bunch of MP back.
Damn.
Yeah. Anyways, that's all I have for Tekken Talk.
I think that, but like to go back to that, I think that's the biggest problem with me on Runeterra, and I don't know about you, Brian, because you love Lux. But I feel zero connection to the cards. I felt more connection playing Teppen a little time I did with the Boy deck and Mega Man and Ryu, because I feel like those are a lot more iconic to me.
Boy is the Monster Hunter character in Nergigante.
That's the other thing too, is like, so it's something that Hearthstone did when it started off really well, is that the cards that you had were spells and abilities you could cast in the World of Warcraft game.
Yeah. So
it was cool, kind of like, oh, that's what I remember using this when I played WoW and all this other cool stuff, so you had that feeling of playing the class. I don't have that feeling when I'm playing different regions, maybe because I know what those identities of those regions are, or because I just don't, they're not conveyed correctly, but I'd rather connect more with the champion than I would with the region, and I think that's a big kind of misstep they did, rather than have it, I don't know.
See, when I think of a League card game, I think of like you're either playing a champion like Hearthstone and Teppen style, or those champion cards are super duper cards like an Artifact where they might come back, and then your spells would be like Thresh Hook or Lux Ray and stuff like that, right? But it seems like the filler cards are just randos from the League of Legends world that no one cares about League of Legends lore until maybe now. So I don't know, except for Tyler, who's not here to defend himself. So
Bradley, do you have any?
Yeah, I will say, like, I have fun playing this game, but I probably would not be playing it if it didn't have certain characters that I like Lux.
Yeah.
I like if this game launched and it had just other characters that weren't League characters, I probably wouldn't be playing it. But I do have fun with it.
I think that's a big thing, is I've like, and I'm not a person that really that is very much like connected to gameplay. So number one is like, I don't think the gameplay resonates with me that much, and it doesn't help that none of the cards and their abilities resonate with me either. Like, I feel like I'm just playing random stuff.
To end on a positive here, what this game really has going for it, though, is that it's a Riot game, and it's the second Riot game.
Yeah, well, that's a big fucking deal.
And what this means is you're gonna get a very, I'm gonna guess, right? You can correct me if I'm wrong. You're gonna get a very clear, like, launching application. You're gonna get very consistent servers and matchmaking. You're going to get very good stat tracking. You're gonna get very detailed patch notes. Riot has some cultural problems, but as far as transparency with the community and putting out a good polished product, I would say they're very good, right?
Yeah.
So I think you can expect that from the lifelong term of this game.
I feel like I just feel like the game is missing out on some. It's just missing out on some like individuality when it comes to its cards, and I feel like it just needs to be like, oh look, this is like Garen's Shield Defense or Garen's Strike, or because you can get those cards, but you have to to get like the ultimate or like special ability of a character. And I like this kind of is that you have to have that champion on the field, and you have to draw another champion card, and that champion card transforms into their spell card.
Oh, then cool!
When you play that spell card, it goes back to the deck.
So you get to recycle it.
Yeah, but which is cool. But the problem being there is that champions don't last long enough for you to actually use those cards and use them.
Is there a Gangplank character?
There isn't.
Is there a Nami character?
There isn't.
Is there a Nautilus character?
Nope.
There isn't.
Fuck this game. We're done.
Well, I do want to say one more positive note. I really like the monetary system for this game. you can't. I kind of do, and I like the monetary system for what you purchase. I don't like the free to play system for just gaining stuff. Monetary wise, you buy coins, and you can either spend the coins on packs, or you have a weekly assortment of wild cards which you can purchase with your coins. Those wild cards can be turned into any kind of card relative to its rarity. So you can buy like a legendary card, wild card. So that way you can just straight up buy cards rather than having to like open up 50 packs and hope you get the cards you want.
Yeah, it feels a lot less predatory to me. You know, instead of having to open a million packs and hope you get the one legendary you want, you can just be like, okay, I want to buy this legendary card.
Is there a crafting system?
There is.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Crafting systems are great.
Yeah, but the other thing is, on the flip side, is that you can't earn any packs via free to play. You can only earn like the craftable materials.
Oh, that kind of blows.
Yeah, so it's really free to play.
Wait, I don't like that. I don't know about that one, Chief. Well, when they add the good champions, maybe I'll check it out.
When they add the good.
Yeah. That's Runeterra and some other card games also in the mix.